Stocks, as we mentioned, rebounding this morning after yesterday's sell-off with the Dow up nearly triple digits. This as investors await a possible rate hike from Jerome Powell's first FOMC meeting as Fed chairman. For more, let's bring in David Zervos, Chief Market Strategist at Jefferies, Barry Bannister, Chief Equity Strategist over at Stifel. Barry, I'll kick it off with you. What was behind yesterday's sell-off, and what changed today?
A lot of yesterday, of course, started with Facebook, which had been a market darling with the so-called FANG trade for years. But part of it also is some trepidation regarding the Fed's upcoming meeting and what will Powell do in terms of both signaling for rate hikes as well as being a little more hawkish.
So, David, in your view, was yesterday's pullback a reflection of the markets digesting 4 hikes this year versus 3?
Look, I think anytime we get close to Jerome Powell speaking or an event with this new Fed, the market just sort of gets very self-reflective and a little bit worried about what this new Fed is. It's a learning experience. This is his first meeting, but we had his first speech back in February, and that really set a tone with a market that was pretty negative. I mean, he came out very optimistic, and that might sound good, but optimism from a Fed chair usually means more rate hikes, and I think the market is just really having trouble digesting exactly where this Fed is going compared to the Yellen Fed, and it's a learning process. We're going to learn a lot in the next 24 to 48 hours about Jerome Powell, and I think that could be relief in and of itself, even if it is hawkish, because the market's actually, I think, pretty well priced for hawkishness.
Barry, would you agree on that the markets in general are priced for hawkishness? In other words, that almost anything short of outright tough love is going to be received well? It seems like the stock market has been trying to just figure out exactly what valuation to put on a good economy, good earnings, without knowing exactly where rates are headed.
Market's priced in about 3 1/4 hikes this year, including the one tomorrow. I think there's the shorter-term issues in terms of tightening dollar liquidity. You saw the LIBOR overnight index swap rate blow out overseas. There's some asset liability mismatches in foreign banks. There's a lot of dollar-denominated debt abroad. The tax bill repatriates cash to the United States, and that makes the dollar more scarce. So there's a lot of issues going on. I think the longer-term issue that I'm really concerned about is the loss of the Fed as a sort of a put option, a backstop. I do not think that a Powell-led Fed, particularly with more hawkish bent to the members, is going to provide that kind of safety net. And that means the PE is a little overvalued on an equity risk premium basis.
David, I know we're all focusing on the Fed ahead of that press conference tomorrow afternoon, but tech stocks, Facebook sort of leading the downward spiral yesterday. We've got regulators increasing their scrutiny of the tech company just today. How much is the risk, emerging risk in tech, a risk for the broader market?
I would say it's a risk. It's not a minuscule risk, but I really don't think it's the primary driver here. I think the primary driver here is what we've been talking about to start the show, which is figuring out this Fed and kind of the debate that Barry, my co-host, or my friend over here from Stifel just talked about, which is there a put? Is there not a put? Did the put strike change? Is the Fed less reactive to market turmoil? And I think the market doesn't know the answer to that question. The market wants to know the answer to that question. Once it can figure out where the strike on the put is, I think it's going to be a lot easier trading. We just don't know whether this Fed is significantly different than the other Fed. I would sort of take the other side, though, and say that, this is a Fed that's been put in place by the Trump administration, both the chair and the vice chair, and we're going to get another vice chair. So we have one vice chair for financial stability and a new vice chair coming. I don't think this Fed, as Powell and Randy Quarles and the others that are coming on, that will be soon coming on board, is really the one that wants to be seen as cutting this recovery short, as fighting off the growth-induced, the measures that have been put in place for growth on the fiscal policy side and the deregulation side. I just really think that the market is making something out of Jerome Powell that maybe really isn't there. And he's been put in to do a job by the president, and I don't think the job is to stop this recovery cold and create some sort of tough love scenario.
So then there is a Powell put. I mean, everything that you're saying sounds like you're saying there is a Powell put, even though you're just saying that we have to reprice that put.
No, I didn't say that. The other gentleman said that. I actually think there is a PAL put, and I think that PAL put, the only thing we don't know about it is whether the strike is at 2,500 or 2,300 or 2,200 or where it sits in the S&P, or 2,600. And I think what we're trying to figure out is where does this guy get a little bit nervous about putting 4 rate hikes into the market. And we're going to learn a lot about that at his press conference. So the market wants to know that. We know it still exists at some strike. The question is what strike? And that's really where the market's pushing this Fed.
We'll know a lot in about 48 hours. David Barrier, thanks to you.